I am Jim Collison and live from the Gallup campus here in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Gallup's Theme Thursday, Season 2, The Wrap Party. Yay!
Woo!
Recorded on November 10th, 2016. Theme Thursday's Gallup webcast series that dives deep into the CliftonStrengths Finder themes, one theme at a time. And today's theme is, we don't have one, it's the Wrap Party. If you have questions, comments, or contributions during the webcast, we do have a live chat room. And we've enjoyed chatting with you guys already. Many of you have come out to the party today. But if you want to log into the chat room, it's right below the main video window. Just go down there, look down there, and log in. There's a login button bottom left-hand corner. Select that, choose the guest account, put your name in where it says guest. Take the numbers out. You don't need those. Then hit submit, and you are in, and we'll take your questions and read them right here during the Wrap Party today. If you're listening to the recorded version or you need custom strengths coaching solutions for small, medium, or large organizations, contact us. Send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. And I will say, if you're listening to the recorded version and you're expecting valuable content today, today may not be the day. We're going to have fun.
There's a lot more out there is what we should tell you. If you're recording and you're looking for valuable content, you found the next clue, which is thanks for being here. Go find another one.
Yeah, Maika, I'll admit we've done shows like this before, not here at Gallup, but in my tech podcast. And I always get emails after the fact like, thanks, I'll never get that half hour back again. And so we'll just warn people up front, like, hey, we're going to have a good time. We got some memories we want to share. We're going to look forward to next year. So hang tight. We're going to have some fun with it today. But today will not be a theme, and we just want to warn you up front. Don't forget to visit the Gallup Strengths Center. Just gallupstrengthscenter.com for all your coaching resources and Strengths Finder training needs. You can also catch the video, both streaming and downloadable audio for all 34 of these themes for 2 seasons now. They're all out there and available for you. Get access to them, coaching.gallup.com. Maika Leibbrandt is our host today. She is my favorite learning and development consultant here at Gallup. Maika, I get to see you in a week, 2 weeks?
Yeah. Well, I leave on Sunday to come to Omaha. I get to see you in just a few days.
I think we're having breakfast on Monday. Welcome to Theme Thursday with the Wrap Party.
Thanks, Jim. We did it. If you're listening, there isn't a whole lot of content that you'll take away and use in the future, but we do appreciate you being here to celebrate with us. It's super important to recognize big accomplishments. And I think this year of Theme Thursday Season 2 has been a huge accomplishment. So Jim, congrats to start with. Well done, my friend.
Thank you. Likewise to you. I do want to say thanks to the live listeners out there that come every single week. I think we can thank them for amazing contributions. You know, Maika, it's a lot easier for us to do this when we have a live audience. I'm not going to lie. If it was just you and I doing this, we would not have the live audience to play off of, and we get some great content from you guys, as well as some great recognition. This year in Season 2, the recognition has totally amped up. I cannot believe. I mean, I'm getting weekly, maybe 2 or 3 times a week in some cases. Benedict just threw a nice compliment for us in the chat room. You guys have been very appreciative of this. And Maika, I'm just going to say that is fuel, right? What was fuel? Which one was fuel? Significance? We talked about.
Yeah, significance. Yeah. It is about fuel.
Yeah, that was the fuel for us, I think, in a lot of ways. And so we appreciate both live listeners and those of you who listen to this every week by downloading it to your mobile device. Thanks for doing that. You want to add anything to that?
You know what I think has been the best, well, not the best, but certainly an added benefit of going through Season 2 that I didn't think about has been what I've learned about myself and my strengths and what I've gotten to learn about you, Jim, and yours. And I think, it's hopefully it's apparent to those people who tune in every week and those folks who download this every week and the groups of people who get together and the participants in our certified classes who would call us and say we're listening. I hope it shows to you that Jim and I both operate better when there's the pressure of a live audience and when we are connected to humans in a very obvious way. So this has been a really great platform to invest in our strengths, knowing that you're out there. And I think the discussions in the chat rooms have just been phenomenal. So I didn't set out thinking, okay, we're going to give people a lot of great information. We're going to give them a companion guide. That was sort of all I thought about at the very beginning. I didn't think they're also going to get this great interactivity with each other through the chat room. And that has become, even from the very beginning when we were on some other platform that was weird. What was that called?
It was Blab.
But even then, the conversations that happened outside of what Jim and I were talking about have just been gold. So thanks for being here and interacting with us. It's been really cool.
Yeah, it's been good to have you just listening. And so we appreciate that. Maika, you mentioned Blab. We started out the season with a new concept, a new idea. If for those of you who go, and that feels like a million years ago, I'm not going to
Doesn't
lie,
it?
just a long time ago. We started out thinking that we could just, in season one, we had invited guests. So most of them were Gallup employees. That was kind of what Kurt wanted. That's just the way we went in the season one. We were kind of feeling out how would this work and how would it come together. And so we invited the guests, and we got some feedback from you. We're like, could we hear from somebody else outside of Gallup? Was kind of, and so I pinged Maika and said, hey, in the season two, could we just try to leave an open format and see if we could get coaches to jump in? Didn't work as well as I wanted it to. So if you go back and listen to the early versions of season two, the A's, we struggled a little bit. And I think Roy did a nice job of cleaning us up on the recorded versions just as we tried. Technology wasn't all the way there yet. I don't think the listeners were all the way there yet as far as being able to connect or knowing how to connect or having the right equipment to connect or some of those kinds of things. And I don't remember which one we ended at, but I said, Maika, this is just getting too hard. And I don't think it's more distracting than it is helpful. And so somewhere in the middle of season two, I just said we're done. And we didn't really ask. We didn't really get feedback. We were just like, we're not doing this anymore. And to be honest, not a lot of people noticed. It was
Dion, you didn't break Blab. It was not you. No, it was all of us together, looking for what's the very best. And then you can see that gorgeous combination of Jim's maximizer and arranger. He played with the chaos for a long time. He made it fall into the places where it fell. And then maximizer was like, this could be better and isn't working. Let's go somewhere else. So we removed the guests.
We did. And that was a hard decision for me, by the way. I didn't take that lightly. I struggled with it for weeks to try and think, how could we get this done? And in the end, we just couldn't. And so we kind of removed that element from it. And Maika, you and I kind of went into a zone at that point, which I think where we really began to kind of focus on, honestly, we started meeting earlier in pre-show, and we started prepping for that with each other. I think our relationship changed during that time as well as we got to know each other better. I'll tell people this. I've told people this in public, but I'll mention it here. I mean, you've kind of become my coach in a lot of ways as we meet half hour beforehand. And you'll always say, hey, how's it going? And I'll say, and you'll be like, okay, how's it really going? And that has been, I think for our listeners, let me just say, that's just been such a beneficial, it's been such a beneficial time for me to have that 30 minutes with you before the program, which is meaningful and transparent. And I think that's affected our relationship on air in what we're doing here. And let me encourage you guys listening. Those are really important relationships to have. I think if I've learned anything from season two is you got to have a coach. Like, I mean, we say this all the time, but I needed to have you as my coach at times. And people are saying, well, wait a minute, she's younger and less experienced and all those things. And yet, Maika, you have kind of filled that role as a coach for me. And I don't think the relationship ever has to be, I'm senior, I'm older, I'm more experienced, whatever that is, right? You have kind of filled in that gap for me, and it's been really cool. I mean, that's a lesson learned for me through the season. Everybody needs a coach.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Jim. That means a lot. I think this might be a discussion on whether your coach can be your friend or not, but this year has really taught me the importance of having a best friend at work, because you're the only person that I see regularly, Jim. And it's not a bad thing for me. I have huge adaptability. I'm usually coaching different people every day. And I don't work on a team of people who work together. So I see you more regularly than anybody in my life. And you can call me out in 5 seconds when something's off. And I think about the times in those pre-shows when you did say, hey, what's going on? Your head isn't in the game. To have that kind of transparency and a safe space to be vulnerable has made me a lot more effective and a lot healthier. So thanks.
Yeah. And I'd encourage the listeners to seek out those kinds of relationships.
It doesn't take long. I mean, pad 10 minutes into your week just to connect with somebody consistent.
I was talking to a coach the other day, and I said, who's your mentor? He stopped for a second and goes, I don't really have one. And I felt bad at that moment. I'm like, everybody needs that. Yeah. You need that person. You need that confidence. You need that you need that coach who can kind of, call BS when it needs to be called. I just can't emphasize that enough. Maika, too, you and I have grown together, I think, when we think about our understanding of the themes and how we've grown together. You just mentioned earlier, you think that you really began to understand self-assurance, right, during this season. How important has it been? It's been super, like, for me, learning some of those, like me versus we, right? We've talked, that's going to be forever embedded in my mind. Anything as you were prepping for this, anything that you that helped kind of lock some things in for you from a theme standpoint?
Yeah. So there was a moment when we were talking about the theme of competition, and we were previewing what the next week's theme was going to be. And I realized myself, I can't watch the chat room and be my best on camera at the same time. So eventually I gave up watching the chat room and I was just a little bit more focused and in the zone. But that was still the time when I was trying to be all things to everybody at the same time. And I was watching the chat room we just spent probably 40 minutes talking about competition. And we're talking about connectedness coming up next. And somebody in the chat room said, "Oh, connectedness is such a beautiful theme." And it occurred to me that I hadn't used that word for competition. And I remember just taking a beat and saying, "Hey guys, competition's a pretty beautiful theme too. How can we see it that way?" And that was a moment for me where it was just such a great practice to get in the rhythm of looking at what is beautiful, powerful, meaningful about every single one of these themes. And if you haven't done that, make it a to-do list. Look to your own themes. Ask yourself, what do your themes, what do you respond to? What makes you say go with your themes? And get some practice in there of how do you fall in love with all 34? Because for me, that was just this amazing moment to say, some of them are more obviously lovely, but they all are gorgeous. And I'll never forget that moment.
Yeah, it's incredible. I have learned, I'm a tech guy. That's what I do. I'm a systems integrator. I got the benefit of launching this platform for Gallup and then partnering with you on it for a year. Maika, I've learned a ton. And so let me just encourage people, if you haven't taken the time, you can't afford not to take the time to go back and figure out a way to get all of these in your schedule. You just need to. We're going to talk about season 3 here in a little bit, and so there'll be some more opportunities. But you can't skimp when it comes to understanding and knowing these themes. You can't skimp on it. So find a way to fit it into your schedule. Get it on your phone. Schedule a time. Put it on your calendar. Just look at your top 5 themes and say, how do I use that in my favor to make sure I'm consuming? And then that's not for us. It's for you. If I've learned from it, if Maika's learned from it, there's some great learning. And we've heard from hundreds, maybe thousands of people who have learned from it. And so just make sure you're finding a way to get that in and get that consumed.
I even remember in season 1, you asked me to come in and fill in for Kurt and take over with significance. And that was the first time I'd ever really done a podcast with you, Jim. And I remember feeling almost like very defensive for significance. Like I had to go to battle and prove to people that this was good. And by the time significance rolled around the second time, and we went alphabetically, so it's like number 27, 28, something like that. Low analytical, somewhere there. By the time it rolled around the second time, I feel like our space where we were having this conversation was no longer about persuading people of the value. Because I remember the first time I did it, I really had to clearly remind folks that these themes are based on looking at successful individuals and then working backwards. That's how we can say CliftonStrengths is a research-based tool. We're not just talking about the many ways that you can think, feel, and behave. We're looking at how do successful people think, feel, and behave, and then we work backwards and say what is it about them that isn't taught. I feel like I had to be pretty upfront and educate people around that and sort of, fly the flag high that this is a good theme. Well, by the time it came around the second time, I feel like we had opened up to a whole deeper level of understanding in terms of what it was we were talking about. And instead of just proving to people that they should love something, we got to talk about more nuanced approaches to how to invest in these themes. And that's the most important discovery that I've made around strengths is, you're looking at your highly concentrated areas of potential, and you get better by spending more time in those areas of highest potential. So it's been amazing to see people, the ripples that this has created, and to see people sharing it, to see people talking about it in the ways that we help you outline, that ultimately leads to, what's awesome about this? How can I fall in love with it?
Yeah, indeed. I think for me too, I don't think I really understood Maximizer for me. You're talking about that, and it's 3 for me. And I to be honest with you, it was a little bit of a skeleton in my closet. I always thought that internally it drove this quality that I couldn't achieve, and I always made myself feel bad about it. And as we talked about it as a sorting theme, and we talked about it in its excellence, for its drive for excellence, and then I started trying to catch myself in those moments, like, oh, that's a good maximizer moment, right? I would start looking for those really good moments where a theme I didn't completely understand. And this is kind of weird. I've been in Gallup for 8 years. And you think, oh, yeah, we talk about this every day. And we do, by the way. We do talk about it every day here. And you think, oh, Jim would have that together. No. And so if you're a coach, and one of the most common bits of feedback I get is, man, with all these materials, I am overwhelmed. Be overwhelmed. It's a good place to be from that standpoint. But soak it in and really struggle with it. Maika, for 2 years, I have really struggled with Maximizer for me. And say that again.
What changed? Do you still struggle, or what's different?
Getting better. No, I think when we started to understand what it was from a quality standpoint, from a strive for better, and not, for me, I was beating myself up internally by maximizing like every single conversation. And then I would get, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. I've mentioned that on the show several times. Yeah. That's my maximizer. What I began to do this season is watch for it and watch for the best of it. So how do I, when I'm doing this, what's the best of me, right? We have that exercise.
Yeah.
What's the best of me when I see Maximizer in my own life? And it's changed, like the way I see Maximizer. And instead of it being that which is a liability, it now becomes that which is really a weapon, a tool for me to use for myself for good. And so I'll be doing something and I'll catch myself, just today, I was going through some things with Jody, who's my partner in recruiting, and struggling a little bit because things weren't laid out like it was. And I had this Maximizer moment of like, oh, I could do this so much better the next time if I do this. And instead of letting that be a bad thing, like I'm not good at this, it's more of a, how do I make this better the next time around? And that's a little bit of a new thought for me. I'm not going to lie. That's one of those things that's been very beneficial. So it's been great to go through. I guess the whole point I'm trying to say here is no matter where you're at, you can continue to learn and grow around these themes in your own life.
And to bring back to your point before about needing a coach, Jim, I think about this season and the themes or the weeks that I struggled the most, or that I thought weren't as good, or all the themes that I have really high. I remember when we did adaptability, I just felt like I had to prove myself through adaptability and almost apologize for it. When we talked about positivity, I felt like I needed to fight harder to get through the barrier labels because I personally had heard them myself. And I almost distanced myself from those themes and tried to talk about them as if I didn't have them. And I think, you would always, as soon as we ended, I would be like, man, Jim, I don't feel like that one really hit, or that wasn't as good. And you never caught it. I mean, you would always say, no, it actually was good. And you would tell me things about it that were good. And then you would share feedback that we got from folks that said, there was value in that. And really me just reflecting on why were those themes the hardest for me? Why were my own personal themes? Why did those feel the most difficult? Why did they feel like I had to be really vulnerable to help other people love them? And that kind of exploration, I think, was just really helpful for me. What I came out with was realizing that you're never done, that there's so much growth to happen within your own themes. And I think sometimes people are more willing to claim their supporting themes than their dominant themes. They're easier to talk about because they're not super, super potent. It's a safer place. But real strengths-based development opens up those doors, has those openings, talks about what are those themes that are you in your sleep. And we have to be safe and brave and trustworthy if we're going to have those conversations with our clients, because those are the ones we need to be having.
Yeah, and willing to take a risk, right? We took a risk on guests, and that was it. It's just to bring this back to full circle. In the early season, I took a risk. Hey, Maika, let's do guests, and you said, and not just guests, but unscheduled guests, and
with unknown technology. Sure, why not? Bring them in.
It's a brand new platform. What could possibly go wrong? And a lot of things, apparently. And so, but you know what? Great failure. in that, and I don't regret any of that. Now my maximizer wants to go back and fix all those so they're the same. You know, it's like I just had that thought a few minutes ago. I'm like, maybe we should go back, Maika, you and I, and just re-record those.
Stop. It's a learning process. It's all part of the journey.
No, it was good. Well, my maximizer wants it to be complete. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about theme dynamics, because this was a new piece we added in. Kurt's book came out 2 summers ago, and or towards the fall of that first year. And we really got a chance to dig in. By the way, if you haven't gotten it yet, head out to coaching.gallup.com, click on the resources tab. In there, towards the bottom of all the resources is a link. It's kind of a universal link to, I think, about 90% of the countries in the world now. You can purchase that ebook and make that available if you haven't done that yet. And so it's available to you out there. Expanding Your Strengths is the title of it, and the theme dynamics is this app kind of that we wrote. Maika and I went through the season in it. Maika, I think for me, the value in that was hearing Kurt's voice again, to be honest with you. It was each week hearing that again, and the reminder of the love that he put into these themes and combining them together. And the language is just so powerful in that. And it was just a great reminder of, it was like having him along for the ride each and every week, you know, having him here with us. It was great.
It was, you know, and it would be one of those things that would sneak up on me, because I would, on my side on the computer, I could think about it and then I could blow up your words and I could just read them. That was how I did it. And there were moments where I would hear his voice as I was reading it. And it was such an honor to get to be part of this, and to look that, you know, when you've got love for humanity like that, and you find a way to mobilize it, it lasts. It doesn't go away.
Pretty special moments there. And then beyond that, thinking about the insights that are available there as you're coaching, or you're coaching yourself, or you're working through, you know, that on your own. Just some incredible insights and some ways to create great questions. I don't know if we practice that enough, but certainly as you look at those two, some great ways to pull questions, right? As coaches, our job is to ask a lot of questions, right? And so as you think about that, Maika, that tool, a great way to ask questions, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. You know, I think it's a great way to personalize questions. And as we went throughout the season, as we talked about other insights or other ideas for each theme, what I really tried to be mindful of was, what are some great questions for this theme, and depending on other theme dynamics, what might that tell you? So it's our job to create openings and then let people get to those discoveries.
Yeah, Tess says, love the theme dynamics, especially when Maika would sum them up with 2 words, 1 noun, and 1 adjective to describe someone. Very helpful and eye-opening.
Yeah, that also came from Kurt. So usually what I was doing, I like to use my own words, but usually what I was doing was using the theme dynamics cards that Kurt created, and they're available at shop.gallup.com. One side is a whole bunch of nouns. The other side is a whole bunch of adjectives, and it's a really great, fast way to play with that. Tess, I think when we actually went through a webinar with teammates, we did this activity where we would say, select the theme that is going to be the anchor point, and then pick out a noun for that theme, and look at the other 4 within your top 5 and pick out adjectives to go along with that noun. You don't need the cards in order to do this, but they're a great way to start. Yeah.
Well, Maika, what a special way for us to be able to participate in kind of the extension of Kurt's work throughout the year, and really be able to do that with companion guides created. A lot of people think we created those for season 2. No, those were actually season 1 that we used over again. A lot of folks don't know that. We had them. Kurt refused to follow the companion guide. And I would get, even though he knew they were out there, and I didn't have the enough courage to say,
I think chutzpah is the right word.
Yeah. I'd say, Kurt, do you think you could follow the companion guide a little bit? He had already had his kind of the way he planned, the way he liked to do it. And so by the time we picked up the end of the series on season 1, we had all 34, and we hadn't really used them the way it intended. And so, Maika, good for you for coming back and using those again. Many people, for the first time, seeing those companion guides available. By the way, if you're one of our certified or trained coaches, and you're in our Yammer group, those companion guides are all now available for you I've posted them, I think, in the main file section. So you can just go out there and grab them. For our newer customers, they'll still need to go through, or we get a little bit of your name information, but it's in the Yammer group. Really good for us just to be able to go through those again and kind of relive those moments. Pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. So, Maika, anything else when you think of season 2, lessons learned, or anything else along those lines? Any meaningful moments for you?
Well, one thing real practical, and then one thing kind of a little more heartfelt and meaningful. If you don't have the Clifton StrengthsFinder resource guide for coaches and you consider yourself a coach, slow down and go find this. If you've taken any of our courses, it's in the kit. And that's what it's just phenomenal. It's got the long definition that comes from our technical report of all 34. It's got ideas for coaching somebody with those themes. It's got, more importantly, space that you can take notes and develop your own experience of all themes. And because of that, it's meant to be something you use over and over and over again. That's behind the scenes, how I would prep for every week. And then I would also watch season 1 of Kurt when I could, or Kurt's companions when I couldn't. So that was my sort of black and white, literal, touch it, go get this. More than that, this has been the hardest thing I've ever done. The biggest challenge I've ever had, I think the highest risk assignment I've ever had in my life, and the biggest honor. And I've got to thank Rosie Liesfeld, because I know that she was the one who threw my name out there as being somebody who could carry this weight. So thank you, Roseanne. And thanks, Jim, for all your help, and thanks, Kurt, for what you started.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. It's been a great season. It's kind of, for me, season 1 and 2 blend themselves together. They're almost one and the same season, just by the way it all came together. And Mike, I have grown a ton in working with people and understanding my own talents and my own themes, and you've coached me along. And so thanks for your work. I appreciate it. We look forward to season 3. And the other thing we wanted to do today was just kind of give you a little bit of a preview as we think about what's coming up with season 3. We'll be releasing some dates here shortly. I think the 19th of January will be the first one that we have out there. We will be going through all 34 again in season 3. We will have a companion guide available for you. Maika, I don't want to steal the thunder. I'm going to let you kind of talk about kind of our theme. In that sense, our theme for season 3 and what we really want to kind of try and get through and cover next season.
So if you think about season 2 was about, let's dive into all 34, help you love the intricacy of the theme and think very specifically about theme dynamics. I hope that's what we accomplished. That was at least our goal for season 2. What season 3 we're going to do is talk a little bit more of a leadership slant. So if you've read the Strengths-Based Leadership book, you'll notice a lot of similarities. If you haven't, you should go get it, because it'll prepare you for season 3. It's a really great fast read. If it's been a while since you've read it, pick it up. I just read it again. There's phenomenal pieces to it. So what we're going to talk about are some things that I think are often misunderstood, which is the use of our strengths-based leadership domains. We're going to kick off season 3 with a subject matter expert who I'm going to keep a secret, but she's phenomenal. Probably one of the best coaches that Gallup has ever had. We're going to ask her, gosh, tell us about strengths with leadership, and tell us about these domains. Tell us about how we use it. Tell us about what this means, and what's the best way to really get the most out of the human potential of looking at a leadership angle. Then we'll go through all 34 themes again, but we'll do them in a different order. So when before I was married, my last name was Bowerly, B-A. I got to stand at the front of the line when we lined up alphabetical. Then I got married to somebody whose last name started with L. And I was like, well, I don't even go to the end of the line. I'm going to be stuck in the middle, even if we go backwards. So I'm very, very conscious of what happens when you go alphabetical either way. So season 3, we will release dates a little more specifically as we go. But season 3, we're going to go domain by domain. So alphabetical within the domain. Which is going to be another way to talk about just another nuance to these themes, and thinking about what does a person do with this theme as a leader. So it's going to be a great resource for you to think about for yourself. It's also going to be hugely applicable for coaches who are coaching leaders. Did I say too much or not enough?
No,
Jim?
I think that's good. I'm like, can we start tomorrow? Is that?
I know, right?
It's
so fun.
It's tough. It's if you're listening to this recorded November 10th today, and we have to wait till January 19th to kick this off. The beauty of this is we have our learning team working on the handouts for it right now. We're almost done, and we'll make those available. Same kind of deal as we did last year. You'll need to go out and download those. to make them available. We'll make them available a week prior. We don't really want to push those all out at one time because we know you'll get distracted with it. And so throughout the week to come out, we'll have a brand new way of you for registering for this. We'll be leaving Eventbrite and be going to Cvent, which is the software that we use for all of our conferences, which will really tie in nicely. We're excited about that. The companion guide, once you register at Cvent, that companion guide will be right there for you. So you'll still need to register for each one, so we know who's going and who's coming and some of those kinds of things. But that companion guide will be there right there for you. So we're excited. Brand new, redesigned. Maika has done a ton of work to make it look awesome from a material standpoint. Our best designers are making it look pretty. Maika, you mentioned strengths-based leadership. That's available in our store. So if you go to Gallup, if you're thinking about buying it, you can go to shop, S-H-O-P, shop.gallup.com. And it's available for you. You can find it on Amazon as well. Either way, whatever is easiest for you.
However you devour it.
Your region, however, or however you decide to do it. It is available. One thing we should say about the book, it has a code in it to take StrengthsFinder again, but those reports that come with it are not the standard StrengthsFinder reports you would get at the Gallup Strength Center. They are leadership-driven reports. We have yet to link those two systems together, where we have SF2, StrengthsFinder 2.0 and the leadership book. Back in the day, little inside baseball, 10 years ago, we built all these different silos, and they were for different reasons and different purposes. And now we're seeing them all as one. And so from a tech perspective, we're really beginning to bring everything together into a strengths hub. That's a lot harder than it seems. And from a prioritization standpoint, as of November 10th, 2016, we are focusing on Exchange. So that's taken a little bit of a backseat getting those reports integrated in. Someday, hopefully, we'll get that done and make those reports available. It was just a question I had today, like, hey, how do I get the leadership reports? Man, it's not easy, and I apologize for that. Yeah, you got to go and almost take it again, which means you're going to get your strengths again, which could be different, and then the client's going to have some questions, and it's a little messy. We apologize for that. So we're working to make that better. But the book is available for you. You can, if you don't have it, I would get it. It's one that should be in your library. Pretty easy reading and a lot of great materials in there for you as well, just like StrengthsFinder 2.0. Let's see, anything else, Maika, from a season 3 standpoint that we should highlight?
Just that it's going to rock. You know what? We started with empathy in season 2, an Instagram feed. And every week we would just do a couple words and an image to go along with that. And then in the comments, we went with, for each theme, I love, I give, I need. I'm open to suggestions of, was that helpful? And what could we do better for season 3? Are there certain ways that you absorb social media, specifically to Instagram, that you find helpful? Would it be tagging a leader, talking about recognition? I'm the person who does that on my own iPhone, so we don't have to mobilize a tech village. Just tell me what you think would be great, and we'll do it.
Yeah. Benedict had said earlier, some feedback from us, when we schedule these, put GMT in there, so our international friends. My hope is, and on a lot of these platforms, if you actually download the calendar invite and put it in your calendar, it'll actually automatically adjust in most cases. Now, not all cases, but in most cases, we're really hoping you grab that calendar invite, bring it in. I will, starting January 1, we'll start adding GMT to the time, because you're right, as we do international, that's something I thought about earlier. We just never really got done. We're also adding a Facebook page. So we have, if you go out to Facebook and you look for Gallup Coaching, there's a page. And all the events, we did some feedback in the group, and rather than putting them in the group and spamming everybody, we just created a brand new page that we will post all the events to. So if you follow your Facebook calendar religiously, or you want Facebook to remind you of what's coming up, you can click the interested button that's there that lets us know you're coming, and then it will remind you via Facebook. Now, that also will work in time zones. It will automatically, when we put our time in, it automatically sets it as the central time zone, and then no matter where you're at around the world, if you can get to Facebook, it'll automatically reset that time zone for you in your Facebook invite. So that works as well, but we'll continue. I love that kind of tech feedback, by the way. I can't always implement it right away, but I always appreciate the feedback. I can't always do it, but I always appreciate it from that standpoint. So Benedict, thanks for that comment in the chat room. Maika, I'm excited. I can't wait for season 3. Like, it's like, oh, this is going to be good. We're bringing guests back, like you mentioned earlier. We have special guests coming. You do not want to miss, by the way, right? You don't want to miss the first one on the 19th.
It's going to be the best we've ever done.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. And so you're going to want to be there, and then you're going to join us live just the rest of the year. Show these. By the way, we've gotten some feedback. We have some individuals who watch these live with people. Like, they invite friends over and they watch them live. They watch the recorded version in groups of people. That would be great. Get a room.
Schedule a meetup.
Yeah, use them as a meetup. Take the companion guides, print those things, download it one time, and then print it a bunch of times. That's really what we want you to do. There's lots of resources available. Don't get overwhelmed by the resources. And if you have questions, ask me. One more reminder: if you're always Summit, I mentioned the Summit. And we mentioned some courses. We have some brand new leadership courses that are coming out actually right now that will be in mainstream by January. And so if you're ever interested in what we're doing from a training standpoint, you don't have to be a certified coach. We've got some management courses that are available out there, different varieties of the coaching, all kinds of different stuff. Go to our courses page. And that's what you want to bookmark, because you want to go out there at least once a month and see what's new. Courses.gallup.com is where you go. Wow. Maika, it's been a good year.
Yeah, it really has
been a good year indeed. We want to thank you guys for just your contribution to what we do here. It's we're not going to lie, this is maybe more meaningful for us than it is for you. Like, Maika, for you and me, we talk about this all the time. When we get together, we talk about it. It has really been Theme Thursday, and the audience around it has really taken on like an important. You guys are important to us. Not that you listen and that we get great feedback, although that's fun. I'm not going to lie. It's great to get good feedback. We like it. Maika doesn't like the negative feedback, so you can send that to me.
Just send everything to Jim. I've gotten better. I've gotten a lot better. Bring it on.
I'll share it with Maika. But I really feel like the Theme Thursday family that we have out there, I'll call it a family, because you guys are super important. Not only that, you're taking strengths to the world. And that's why we did this, right? When I first started doing this here at Gallup, I said, how can we do it one time and reach 1 million people? Because when Phil Ruhlman said, we're going to do this, we're going to have 1 million coaches and 1 billion people, I'm like, ooh, how does that scale? And so we know now with these webcasts, technically we could support 1 million live here on YouTube. Wouldn't that be great to have 1 million people listening?
Well, you were thinking scalability. I was thinking the scalability of education. I remember getting really, really afraid that people wouldn't understand the power of what they were doing. And you all here have created a depth of that scalability that's just phenomenal. I loved running into Maureen on the street in Omaha. I'd never met her in person, but I felt like we were best friends. I was standing there with my toddler, just giving her a big hug. And, I wish we could reach out and hug all of you right now because of the work that you've done to help educate people around this and help inspire people about what's great inside them.
Yeah. Well, you got 2 months. You have 2 months if you're listening to this sometime in November before season 3 starts. If you haven't caught up on season 2, or if you haven't caught up on season 1. Like,
go binge watch.
That stuff is gold. I mean, it's Kurt Liesfeld. Like, if you haven't seen that yet, you need to go back and consume it. Again, we have a table of contents available for you. If you go out to coaching.gallup.com and scroll down the right toolbar, all the way down to the bottom, the list of every single Theme Thursday is there, both sorted by theme and by season. And so if you want to head out there and find an easy way to get that should be a reference, by the way. You should have that site bookmarked. There's some great content available for you out there. And again, if you got time, this is your time to catch up. So let me use it. Maika, thanks for a great season. I appreciate your partnership in this. We're looking forward to season 3, and we'll go dark for about 8 weeks or so as we kind of get ready. We'll be getting ready. I'm doing push-ups, by the way, for season 3. That's how I'm getting ready.
Geez, thanks for telling me. Yeah, now I have to get my gear in the game. Maybe I'll just do push-ups. That's all what he means is he's doing season 3 as push-ups. You're just going to log in and see Jim sort of pressed up against the screen.
Our goal is to be
over and over again.
Fit in
We're going to
season
do push-ups.
not only fit as leaders, but physically fit as well. We'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have at the Gallup Strength Center. This is GallupStrengthCenter.com. Send us your questions, comments. If you'd like to be a guest blogger and you've got a blog already written, you can submit that in for consideration. Send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. That actually goes to Maika. and she takes it. We can't take everything,
but I love getting them, and I will talk you through them.
Yeah. So if you want to do that, again, send us your blog, the completed blog, coaching@gallup.com. Make sure you put guest blogger in the subject line. You can also catch the recorded audio and video. During these next 2 months might be a good time to learn how to subscribe too. Get these things automatically to your phone every single time we make one. And those are available. The instructions to do that, by the way, is in the subscribe tab at the coach's blog. So you can get that all done. I made it really easy for you. Super easy. Also out of the coach's blog, the links to our Facebook group, YouTube page, all our iTunes, RSS feeds, iPhone, Android apps, as well as everything we do, all our blog posts, which we got some really nice. We're coming up on 1 million. Like we're going to do 1 million before Theme Thursday season 3 starts. We'll have done 1 million hits to the coach's blog. Pretty cool. So
it's really good stuff, and a little more traditional for people who like pre-work that isn't, if they don't want to watch a video, we've got written stuff that's amazing.
We do. We got some good stuff. All at the coach's blog, coaching.gallup.com. And I mentioned if you're interested in discovering all 34 of your talent themes, and if you're going to do that, this would be a great time to get a coach, by the way. Once you get all 34, it's a lot of information, and a coach can be very, very helpful. When you do that, visit the Gallup Strength Center for more information around that. If you found this helpful, and we hope you have found it helpful, we'd ask that you'd share it. We want to thank everyone for joining us today. And with that, Maika, we'll sign off here for the final season 2 Theme Thursday. A little bit of sweet for us as well.
Party hats.
With the hold on.
Party hats.
Do we put the party hats back on? Okay.
Yeah, it's a party.
Party hats back on.
Good job.
You bet. Good job to you. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.